These are scones.
How many are there?
Well, I'm American. It's biscuits.
Don't touch me. Oh fuck. What? What? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Saw nothing. I meant to do that.
Hey, what's good, Jay? How you doing? I really enjoyed your stream today, by the way. It's the only one all week I've been able to commit to for the most part. Almost ready, doing good. That's what I like to hear. You playing anything off stream right now? Or just relaxing? Wait, were you there? I thought you were gone most of it.
Oh, wow.
I was there for most of it. I had to step away for some meetings and shit, but I was always like looking around. Like, I think it's why at some point I was messaging you. I was like, still on the call, but you're doing good, or whatever the fuck I would say. It was a very meeting heavy day, and it was a very disappointing day, but it's all good. Shit happens, you know. I'm gonna pull my hair out a little bit, but it's okay. It's life. I want to talk about it. I'm almost ready. I'm just gonna get some water and a beer.
Alright, let's go.
I'm probably gonna screw around in Dwarf Fortress unless Paul and Dre want to play something. Dwarf Fortress. Is that the Lord of the Rings one? It is, right?
Sorry.
I'll be right back.
I don't have any. I'm a little baby.
Hey, whip your boy.
I'm a baby. I have no
I'll be right
money.
back.
I can pay you in blocks. No. I'm a baby.
Oh, that's cool. Want to watch it with me awkwardly till the comedy comes in? No, I'll probably have my penis on my hand. Thanks for really awkward though. Fuck was not on your side tonight? No, it was not. Neither was Skill. I fucking suck today. Who's live? We got Lil B Montana playing Silent Hill 2. No. Oh, that's like playing Pummel Party. Ruins of Mordor or some shit. What I should have said was Dwarf Fortress. What's that? Hanging out with my family. That's stupid. 1 second. Is it a family reunion? Because we're all short.
You go by salt or tofu? I think
I'm average. Okay.
How's your day going? Paint me like one of your French girls. Can
All right. Let's launch Steam and then let's move over.
Promise?
Yo. I should really finish my. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna finish this right here. Hey, what up, Lemon? How you doing? Sorry. There it is. I'm gonna fix this right now. Hold up. Wait a minute. I'll fix it. Let me group it. Fixing the problem. Fuck. Hey. Then control? Okay, it's control. Dude, Die Hard ruined everything. This is Die Hard's fault. Remember I was trying to stream Die Hard for Christmas? Alright. Yay, and we're back, baby! What's up, B? What up, dude? Fix that problem. Can you remove that bra from Scully, please? Probably. Dude, Scully's a fucking baddie, dude. I don't think I appreciated her enough when I was young, you know? Because I was watching this show off and on when it was around, like 3rd grade. I was like 8. 4th grade, I was 9. But I got really into it like season 4 or 5, which I think I was like 11. 12. That was when my eyes were open to Gillian Anderson. Love her. Love you. All right. Honestly, I think she looks great for her age. Like what, like in her 50s now? Stop me! Would. That's getting dragged away. Yeah, I still would. Yeah, exactly. I was watching that show, Sex Education, with Adi, and Oli can still get it. Make sure everything's in order. Yeah, oh yeah, Miller time, baby. I didn't have the best week, but it's okay. They're not all gonna be hits, you know. As one of my best friends says, you don't always, or nobody bats 1,000, you know. But it's okay. I'm here. I'm strong. I'm a doer. All right, let's stream it. Same. Oh yeah, dude, how's work been? Are you saying same you still would fuck Scully, or same you didn't have a great week either? God damn it, I fucking love this game. And this is the cherry on top, you know? Like, now everything works out, but you know what? This game still slaps. Same shitty week, still shitty? Ah, sorry, bud. Get my shotguns loaded. Shame. Alright. My date with the president's daughter. Oh, also, dude, I'm pretty stoked. So, here's the thing. Yes, I played this game. This might be like my 3rd or 4th time. I forget. But I never played Separate Ways. So I'm actually pretty stoked to get to that. Paul, my boy. What's up, dude? So yeah, once I finish with the main story, I'll play Separate Ways for the first time. That'll be a first playthrough. More like Separate Gays. Ah, Gotti. Slowest week ever. Just counting the damn hours till Battlefield 6 comes out. When does it come out? 85 hours, 62 minutes, 12 seconds. Friday. Nice. I didn't realize it was so soon. Are you gonna stream it? My date with the president's daughter.
Well, I wanted to go home, but Ashley just had to see this castle first.
Perfect, because I have a present I want to give you. Medicine that will help to spread the
Dude, Soda filed 6.
inside of the castle. We can meet up there.
This game's pretty, dude. But also, I was gonna say, expanding Luis is one of the best things about this game. Luis is,
Just said.
I got it.
I don't know, I think he's kind of like a, is it fair to say he's underrated? That's probably not true. Everybody loves Luis, but making his role bigger in this game is just a smart fucking choice. Handgun for you.
At Shattered Limit, you don't own that ball. Check the extension to see your items.
God damn it! Fuck, hold on. I'll fix it. I don't even know. And the worst part is I'm fucking broke in Pokemon. I should just turn off that script. I keep saying that, but I keep forgetting. Let me get this started. Sorry, guys. Actually, nobody cares except you, I don't think. Hey, Deadwolf, what up, dude? Can one of my mods do shoutouts? Hold on, let me get my stream manager going. Oh, nice. Alright. Poke Shop, Ultra Ball, 5? Okay, so we should be good for the next hour. Lucky we can pile the list of special characteristics for our 4 stellar choices. The Punisher. This one has brilliant stability and penetration. So do I. A laser sight can be mounted onto it too, making it a very versatile weapon. Red Knight. This gun delivers a lot of power, but it kicks like a horse. Keep it reined in by attaching the stock. Blacktail. I think Blacktail was my favorite initially. A great gun, ideal for quick shooting. Its compact size helps free up inventory space. Matilda. It is a bit unremarkable on its own, but attaching the stock lets you suppress the enemy with 3 round bursts. That was too much. Fine, I'll do fucking shots myself. Why did I even mod you guys? Yeah, everybody, Deadwolf, literally my best friend. He's playing the new Digimon game. It actually looks pretty fun. How you liking it, dude? If you're here.
Why can't I?
Good question. Unmodded, all of you. Who was technically Jay was first. Jay was I saw I saw him in chat when I was setting up. I was like my boy. Or I could do Denzel. My nigga. Alright. We also got Jay Conkers. Not even probably. He's without a doubt the most consistent streamer, also best looking.
Try to beat me up already.
Hey cutie, what up B90? The most consistent streamer in our circle. He's played through damn near all of the Castlevanias. There's a technicality. I'm not gonna count all of them. Son of a bitch. And right now he's playing literally my favorite franchise, which is Resident Evil. It's been fun watching that, and I know he says he's gonna. It's just for October, but I want him to continue it. Jay, keep playing Resident Evil. Do it for me, baby. Do it for me. And then we got your boy who popped in. Your boy, are you affiliated yet? Everybody, give this motherfucker a follow and check out his streams. Bruh. Bruh. Dragon Quest 3 remake was so good. Can't wait for 1 and 2 remakes. Is it out yet? Those came out, right? Or no? Yeah, your boy, just a sweet motherfucker, alright? He's a fan of lots of stuff. If you like wrestling, if you like Resident Evil, if you like Nicolas Cage, and if you like Peacemaker, check out his streams. He's a good dude. He's good. He's a good guy. Who else we got in this sumbitch? We got Lemon Wedges. Another one of my best friends. I just like the man who needs no introduction. I just walk away. No, good dude, lots of shooters, fucking hilarious. Play more Metal Gear, bitch, or else. But he played Resident Evil co-op with me, 5 and 6, and those are banger playthroughs. Check out the VODs on my YouTube. Also, he's a good dude. Check out his streams. He'll be streaming Battlefield 6 when it's out, right around the corner. Splooge. The other Conkers bro. Super Conkers bros. Good dude. I want him to stream more often. Honestly, he's good dude. That's the best way to put it. But he's also indie game developer. If you're here, Paul, go ahead and feel free to link your game. Yeah, do it. Do it. And everybody follow the project. I played it. It's promising, okay? You won't be missing out. Yeah, game designer, family man, rich guy. He made Sex with Hitler 3D. He did. Okay? It's an art film. It's a protest game. I don't know. Who else is here? No, he's really good. Sweet guy. A lot of indie games. Honestly, I like his streams because he's always streaming games that I don't even fucking know about, you know? And he made me stream Depart Prototype, one of the scariest hour-long games I've ever fucking played. Anyway, and we got B90 up in this motherfucker. B90 Reborn. You're a Canuck, right? No, good dude.
Okay. In the corner.
Why are you running like that? What game is this? Holy shit.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
Yes. What the fuck is this?
Yes. What?
You're running around on all fours like Devilman Crybaby. It's beast mode. I never heard of this. Yeah, that's an IRL stream. Yeah, that's just B90 out in the wild. Yeah, exactly. And then it wouldn't be a Shadow Limit shout out if I didn't shout out myself. Oh, I gotta finish this. Hold on, let me get the motorcycle. I'll be right back. Catch. Oh shit. I run around on all fours in my underwear, beating the hell out of people. As you should. That's your God-given right, you know? So, right on, brother. Fuck, I need to play that too. Oh, RoboCop? Oh yeah, you bought it, didn't you? Dude, I was actually like immediately impressed with just how good the gun handling felt. That is a fun shooter, you know? It got tough when the Ed 209 showed up. That was a good like half hour figuring out how the fuck do I fight that motherfucker. That was rough, but it's a good game. After you finish playing with these nuts on your chin. Yeah, you gotta finish what's on your plate first, which is these nuts. All right. Yeah.
Welcome. Got some rare things on sale, stranger.
We're selling. Okay, so I can't combine that. All right, and then Elegant Mask. I'm gonna wait with that. All right, we're good.
A deal well
Tune up.
struck.
Repair the knife. Oh, it broke? I didn't even realize it broke. Already done. Quick shot. Yeah, it doesn't take much, but you just gotta make sure you finish. Let me buy some shit first, or trade. No.
You best tune up your
Ooh, what's the increase the drop rate of red herbs?
Some things money can't buy.
A single ticket that grants access to a weapon's exclusive upgrade regardless of the weapon's level. Oh shit, that sounds awesome.
Molding a weapon to suit your specific needs. Oh,
Yeah, I think power.
wisdom.
Unlimited
Of your tastes, friend.
power! I fucking love this game. This game makes me happy. I should just play this at lunch.
If you want a fighting chance out there, you best tune up your kit.
Oh,
Anything else
space.
I can help you with? Why not try
Magnum
your
ammo. I
hand
don't even have the
at a
Magnum.
new gun, stranger?
Oh shit, special offer?
Save your life.
I'll put it in storage. This is definitely worth having now, especially if it's at a discount. What's a Stingray? Is it a rifle? Semi-automatic rifle capable of rapid fire. Blacktail's good. Resources. Alright, I'm gonna get the broken butterfly. No, I can't fit it!
Where you gonna put this? Your pocket?
Wait, I can't put it in storage? No, I want it now. We'll make it fit. That's what she said. Oh shit, maybe not. Fuck! Arnar. Alright. Aha, motherfucker. Gotcha. Tetris. Yeah.
I see you have an eye for things. Gun's not just about shooting, it's about reloading.
The shitty things is Battlefield 6 servers don't go up until I'm already at work, so I can't even pull an all-nighter like a degenerate.
Information is a commodity.
Sorry to hear that. You'll be fine, buddy.
Well then,
You got this.
what can I do you for?
As always, I'm rooting for you.
Your weapons are in good hands, mate. I'll see you right.
I'll wait.
Come back anytime.
Alright, so now... I'm keeping the shotgun. Maybe the rifle for now. There is a point where... like, I do think I'll want the rifle. In particular, it's the part with like the catapults and the fucking... the monk ganados or whatever you want to call them. I'm gonna play Grandia. Yes, Jay. Yes. What I like to hear. Fucking love that game. I mean, I like it well enough. I think, like I said, 2. Grandia 2 is where it's at for me. The semi-auto rifle is a sniper, you know. Yeah, but it's also fatter. I don't have room for a sniper right now. That's what I'm saying. I'll do the sniper stuff later. The one that I didn't buy? Is that what you're talking about? I intentionally didn't buy it yet. Bitch. What? Save game. So, Ooh, what's over here? Oh shit! I should sell this now while I'm here. Just say you hate me, jeez. Dude, I've told you I hate you. I thought you knew that. And then you're like, it's just nice to hear.
Welcome. Ooh, what you buying?
Alright.
Ruby, thank you. Pleasant travels.
What are you up to tonight, Lemon? You playing anything? You're just chillaxing after a long, hard day.
Courtyard's got to be through.
I want
that
to start a
gate.
cult.
Don't think our hosts are gonna roll out the red carpet. Crossbows, huh? Something tells me they don't want to be friends.
Fuck. Fuck. Like, I know I was trying to be an asshole, but I probably should get that new rifle. Being depressed because Battlefield 6 is now. I don't even want to play anything else. Oh, poor BB. You gotta wait a day till your fucking game comes out? Oh. I'm sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me right now. I had a bad day. I'm just being a bully. That surprised me when shitty games aren't out. I don't know, man. I've been hearing literally everybody who's played the beta is loving that game. May not be your cup of tea, but I don't think that game is shitty.
Gun rhyme, welcome.
All right, I'm gonna sell that fucking. Oh fuck! It's in storage. Wait. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do. They get that shit out of storage. Ooh. Sell it. Right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Get it. Yeah. Feel it in it.
Welcome.
And I'm gonna buy the other one.
I'll buy almost anything. Thank you.
It's EA. It will definitely be shitty. I mean, not everything from EA is shit. I'm gonna go buy a pint of ice cream to comfort myself like a woman. Why don't you just buy a pint of
Won't do you much good.
beer
Grave.
like a man? Just kidding. No, ice cream's pretty good. Just get a better flavor than Rocky Road. I mean, it's all right though. Fuck! I don't have space. It is, even if the mechanics end up being solid, it'll ruin it with microtransactions and loot box shit. Yeah, can't make good games. Why not a pint of tampons? Is that the metric for tampons?
I'll hand this over when you've got the space.
I don't know if I have the space, my boy. Let's see. Ah, no. Fuck. Fuck! Wait. Oh, wait, that's actually bad. I definitely want that herb. Ooh. Get rid of these. And then I'm gonna deal with Plagas, so I definitely want that. 8 handgun rounds. That ain't shit. You know? Oh yeah, that's right. EA can make good games. Will they? I don't know. Bye, Joey. Wait, what did I do? I'm on your side. Oh, it's because I was talking shit about Rocky Road. That's why. Flavor sucks, dude. I was kidding. No, it's pretty good. It's not my favorite, but I'll eat it. And you know what's funny? I actually do prefer like the fake marshmallow swirl over like the marshmallow chunks. I know that's probably a hot take. That'll probably piss you off. It's just how I feel. How I feel, man. Oh my god. Magikarp. I got a fucking Magikarp. Yeah, I'm just burning through these Pokeballs.
Anything else I can help you with?
Let's do power.
Holding a weapon to suit your specific need. We're starting to get an idea.
EA is gonna make some Hala games now since they were bought by Saudi Arabia. What's a Hala game? Taste and ice cream match your taste in games. Good and based, delicious, and covered in caramel. What are you talking about? I fucking have great taste in ice cream. Dulce de leche is like, it's like the sex without the condom of ice cream. They can't get worse. Hopefully the Saudi buyout improves them. That's what I've heard. Technically, they could still do, you know, all the microtransaction bullshit, but technically they're private owned now instead of public entity. So they don't really have shareholders and investors to invest, right? So hopefully they're always gonna prioritize money, but you know what I mean. Halal, like the language they speak. Isn't halal a food? Halal. Oh. Halal is an Arabic term for permissible or lawful under Islamic law, and in the context of food, it signifies that a product is fit to be consumed by Muslims. To be halal, food and meat must adhere to oh, so is this like Muslim kosher? Halal is a way of the food is. Okay, yeah. You learn new things every day. Yeah, being public is objectively bad for all companies in the long run. They have made shitty owners, but I'd rather roll the dice on private owners than take guaranteed trash from being public. That's true. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've definitely hopped on the EA hate train too. It just every now and then there's a banger. Like, you probably hate Hogwarts Legacy and Harry Potter, but I liked that game. That was a good game. That was EA, isn't it? What are you doing? You okay? Ashley, get behind me!
Close your eyes.
Carrie loves Hogwarts Legacy. It's a good game. No, Harry Potter was Warner Brothers. Oh, I thought EA did that. Oh, okay. All right. Well, you know what's funny? Warner Brothers isn't much better. They're going the EA route. Funny enough. I never played it. I like Harry Potter books, but could not care less about the games. If you like the books, I mean, you know, you do you. It's fine. I think it's a good game that honors the books. I was a huge Harry Potter fan growing up. I read it literally from 4th grade up until like as the books were coming out. I love Harry Potter. He actually puts out a lot of good games. They just eventually ruin them. That's fair. I just remember like the 6th gen. EA was the shit back then. It wasn't until the HG generation. Now the loot boxes and bullshit that they wanted to fucking do. So it's like, you know, I for the most part, I do agree with Jay. I think it's just more like, I don't know. Like I said, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Even though I've been burned before. Which I'll probably be abused later. Guys, she's fine when she's not mad. She's only like this because she cares. Yeah, we got the large for some machine. Yeah, let's do that. Got bolts that I don't want. People get the benefit of the doubt after 1 or 2 mistakes, not 15 years of continuous garbage. That's fair, that's fair. Uh-oh. I'm glad you're back on, yeah, what's my hot? Okay, yeah, let's... I'm glad you're back on, Grandia. Oh, I don't have a scope. Fuck. These fucking iron sights. I'm playing Medal of Honor right now. She only hit you because you said something stupid and she's trying to help you. Yeah. She looked hard at me because she believes on me. Believes in me. I don't know. What do abuse people say? I'm being a dick. Shattered limit. Cancelled after making light of domestic abuse.
All right.
Are you not entertained? Pop your stupid fucking head out. Wait, let me check the map. Am I missing any treasures or nothing? Okay. So, oh shit, look at you. So, I love this game. Like, you can tell this game was made with, oh shit, with love for the original in mind. Mátalo. Un forastero. He's desperate, oh shit, look at you. Kia. Ashley, you dumb bitch. Wait, Ashley's, oh shit. Ashley, no. Control. Control.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Let's go, bitch. As I'm about to die. Oh fuck, do I have anything? Yeah, I do.
Spread out.
No, stay.
Stick close.
Got it.
Wasn't she also really stupid and wait, she had a shorter skirt in the original, so it's better. Shut the fuck up. Actually, I don't know about that. Did she really? Was it shorter? She also was really stupid and would die if you didn't put her in a suit of armor. Wasn't she also really stupid and would die? No, that's not why she would die. Honestly, I think the Ashley escort stuff is, extremely exaggerated. It's really not that bad. Inconvenient, yeah. Kia! Well, I thought she had pants on. They definitely made her clothing significantly more modest.
I'm fine.
I mean, it's not like her titties were hanging out before. They just gave her pantyhose. I think it's really the only difference. And she has a jacket on, but I think she actually loses this jacket later. And she looks more like the original one. I think the pantyhose is the biggest change. Next to the lack of ballistics. That's how I pick up chicks at a bar. What the fuck are they? Oh shit!
You're serious.
Oh shit, are we safe here or not? I don't know. You think Ashley is not going to get her to sleep with you? Shut the fuck up! I'm like white knighting this fictional character. For real, Joey, you're such a white. No, nice. That's funny. You're such a white knight cuck boy. No, you. Ashley, you dumb bitch. The fire and flames. Control.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right. Did we jump down here? Yeah. All right, Ashley. You Gucci? Come here. Come here, BB. Just breaks her fucking ankle. Oh shit! I missed treasure. It's okay. I can get it when I'm not like under fire. I can always come back to it. Every time he sees someone abusing women, he's like, "Don't do that. It's illegal." Have you ever seen Nigga Turtles? It's a dub of the oh shit. It's a dub of the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie, and it's hilarious. And there's a part where Leonardo, he's like, "Hey, stop disrespecting women!" It cracks me up every fucking time. That's what you reminded me of just now. Can't I throw this bitch in a dumpster or something? Oh shit. Boop. Boop. Motherfucker.
so good.
That's why I make fun of Paul. Disrespecting women is one of my favorite things. That's why I make fun of Paul. How's disrespecting women gotten you? Oh wait, actually no. Arnar. Oh shit. This area is the worst part of the game, I think. I'm not hating it. Honestly, I feel like it was more inconvenient in the original. Oh shit. Okay, maybe you're right. Yeah, this might kill me. All right, yeah, I changed my mind. You're right.
You hurt?
Better than R2 remake, am I right? Honestly, I think so. All right, I died. Back. Stupid catapults. Yeah, it's fun. I don't remember really struggling with them. I thought I could like tell Ashley to fuck off for a second. Absolutely. Oh. No, I do think this is better than the RE2 remake. Personally. I think this game is fucking fantastic. Like, jokes aside, I know what you're doing, but I don't disagree with you.
Ashley! Anytime.
This is one bad spot. RE2 is just fundamentally broken. Fuck off! You're fundamentally broken.
I guess this is their idea.
The only issues with that game are between your brain and your fucking hands. These nuts are fundamentally broken. Hey, what up, Noodle? Welcome in. Give me honest, Noodle. You might see me die a little bit, but it's okay. We're gonna get through it as a family. I love RE4. I love RE4 also. Both of them. Wait, broken? Oh, we're fine. I think I'm safe in here, but I think I can blow them up, no? Oh my god, Ashley, run! Only issue is I was too good at the game. Is that why you suck at it and finished? That must be why you suck at it and haven't finished. Imagine this Leon in RE2. Oh yeah, he would have fucking bitch slapped the tyrant. Yeah, RE4 is a certified hood classic. You safe here? Okay. I'm scared. I'm scared of the cat. That's why the game nerfed me. I was too good. All right, buddy. Keep telling yourself that. Game's not made for you. You gotta play unassisted. That's why. You need the game to go Google Gaga and give you a bottle. Need a bottle. Your bottle empty. Oh shit, nice. I don't want to make R2 worse than... Hold on. I don't want to make RE2 worse with the inferior Leon. Oh, you think you like RE2 Leon more? You like the fucking nerd that nobody listens to more than fucking American James Bond over here? No thanks, bro. Kicks off Tyrant's hat. Exactly. Game wasn't made for people with good aim. Tell that to all the high scores it got. It's okay, you gotta play unassisted. It's not the end of the world.
Let me go.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Get back here, bitch!
Stop.
Oh shit, that fucker's moving. He got this. That boy got slave feet. Hey! The fuck back over here! Yes, I prefer normal people RE games. With the more they become action movies, the less I like the series. Rage bait used to be believable. Well, when you do get normal people, you complain about it. Ethan Winters. Oh, Ethan's amazing. I fucking love Ethan. Ethan is amazing.
Thanks.
Motherfucker. When's Department of Tentacles come out? It's coming up. Wait, where is it? It's right here. Fuck you! Okay. Are we done here? Any more catapults? Nice. Thanks, babe. I done it! You mean high scores from games journalists? Notably great at games journalists? I mean, if you want to run that metric for every game, sure. Just admit you suck at it, dude. It's okay. It's okay.
That went well.
Oh, warning next time.
The world will keep turning. Don't even trip, dog. Game journalists like Battlefield games. Not my fault bullets don't work. They do work. I don't know if you're missing, or I don't know if you're not searching. I don't know if you're not crafting. But that game is like impeccably well balanced. I refuse to believe you're just out of ammo. You missed something, dog. That nigga in the friend zone platinum. After all this, Leon still gets friend zoned? Yeah. Wait. Not fit? No. Shit. Ooh, that might be a problem. Hang on. What if I move you over here? You over there. Oh yeah, this will work. If a zombie takes 10 headshots, they aren't really working, are they? Probably has skill issues? Yeah, for real, for real. The game is balanced around that, dude. And you don't have to sit there and like stand above their inactive body. Like they get stunned forever. Not forever, but you know what I mean. For, I don't know, tens of minutes. Like you don't have to kill them right then and there. If you feel the need to just stand over their lifeless body before they activate again and kill them, then I mean, that's kind of on you. But Either way, the game is balanced around needing multiple rounds, and you know, like I said, it's basically it updates the amount of shots it would take in the OG. It just, whereas it would auto aim and you shoot their body 10 times, you have to shoot them in the head 10 times because it's more skill based. If you want to admit you don't have the skill to do it, then that's fine, but it's not the game's fault. How am I doing, by the way? Now put RE2 Leon RE4. How much? Oh, he would die. RE2 Leon, we get his fucking ass handed to him in this game. He would complain about the Plagas not dying in one headshot. He can't backflip. That already makes him inferior. Yeah. There's another one here. Hang on. Actually, hold on. No, there is like a spot like where the last I love uses backflip. Yeah, uses backflips the shit. I hope Lemon's stewing in it right now. No. People keep saying he does uses backflips. I would also backflip at any given opportunity. Stewing and being correct. All right, man. All right, sport. Okay, champ. Buddy. Brother. Oh, there is another fucking... I like RE4 a lot, but I think it pushed the series in a shitty direction. I was very glad RE7 became a horror game again. Yeah, no, that's fair. I wouldn't call it a shitty direction. I would say it's a different direction. And I understand, you know, to an extent, I do think you're a bit of a purist, which isn't inherently wrong. But I think the game kind of works in like phases, or the series, where it's like, yeah, you had 1, 2, and 3, and arguably the other ones like Code Veronica and stuff. But the main trilogy was like, you know, the tank controls, pre-rendered backgrounds, all that kind of shit. And then 4, 5, and 6 was like the actiony over-the-shoulder era. And then 7, 8, and 9 are going to be more focused on horror, first person, if you want that in the new one. Phases indeed. Good phase, then shitty Michael Bay phase, then good again. I would say it ended with the Michael Bay phase. I think 4 and 5 are like objectively fantastic games. Now, if you want to go the route of saying they're bad RE games, if you want to say, you know, what you consider RE is horror focused, like the first 3 with you know, searching, inventory management, all that, that's fair. I'll give you that argument. But they're good games. They're not shitty games by any stretch of the imagination. Like, it might not be what you agree with as far as the series direction, but they are not shitty games. 4 is great, 5 is decent, but by far the worst in the series at that point. 6 is garbage. I don't think 6 is a bad game. I think I think the hate for 6 is exaggerated. I will say once again, if you have a certain identity or idea of what Resident Evil needs to be, I would say it is a bad Resident Evil game. But 6 is fun. 6 is hilarious. It is hype, and there are third-person action games I play now that don't have a character controller that good. 6 is a good game. If you, like I said, if you want to like go that route, I'll say it's a bad Resident Evil, but it's a good game. Netflix show is closer to real Resident Evil than 6. All right, I'll agree with you there, actually. Did they make it a good show? No. That's also a false equivalency. If it was a good show that deviated heavily from Resident Evil, I'd be like, hey, it's a good show, but it's not representative of what Resident Evil is, you know? You could say that about 4, 5, and 6. I think 4, 5, and 6 are great amazing. RE4 is an amazing game, and if you don't agree with that, then you're crazy. But if you want to say like they don't adhere to what your idea of Resident Evil is or should be, then I'll give you that argument because that's your opinion, man. RE6 is not a good game in a vacuum. It's shit with Resident Evil coat of paint. I think 6 is a great game. I understand the disappointment fans had with it, but it is not a bad game. Where the fuck is that last? Should it be on my map? Oh, it is on my map. Okay. I must have passed it at some point. Hold on. I'll find it. I'll find it. Opinion discarded. You like the Star Wars sequels. Yeah, I like them. I don't love them. Also, once again, that's a false equivalency. That has nothing to do with this discussion we're having right here. And I've said before, people watch things and play things for various reasons. Where the fuck is... It's gotta be down here. Oh, I found it. There it is. And there's another one nearby, apparently. It's over here. I will find him. Where is it? Where are they at, though? I hear it. Actually, yeah, I know where it's at. It's on the other side. It's a question of taste. It is irrelevant. I mean, if you want to keep it on the same topic we're talking about, then it'd stay relevant. I could be like, oh, you like chocolate over vanilla. Your opinion's irrelevant, you know? We're not talking about the same shit. Hey, Noodle, thank you. Star Wars sequels had blue milk. This is true. They did have blue milk. I don't like the sequels, which makes my opinion on RE2 correct. See, you see what you did? You gave Lemon a false sense of correctness. Fine. Wait, stop it. Firm. Boo! His opinions on RE2 Remake are better than your opinions on RE6. Well, that's just your opinion, man. Also, his opinions are solely based on the fact he sucks at the fucking game. RE6 is a good game. It is not a bad game. Why would you say it's a bad game? What are your points against it? Especially since you never finished it. The only reason Lemon's not even defending RE6 right now, which is one of his favorites, is because you're supporting his case against too, or yeah.
Proven yourself reliable. What can I interest you in?
I don't need the Punisher. Gunpowder would be nice though.
There's some things
I should probably save up.
Don't get yourself killed now.
Give me some space.
Okay.
Well, you already made my points against the games.
Welcome to my castle.
In what way? I like when Leon says back for more in Resident Evil 6. I like Resident Evil 6. I don't even know what part you're talking about.
Kennedy. Who the hell are you? Me? Oh, please, call me Ramon.
Back for more? Is it that, the not Nemesis?
I would like you to hand the girl.
The story is bad, the pacing is pants on head retarded with a massive action set piece every 2 to 3 minutes. The new characters suck, the old characters feel like skin suits of themselves, multiple short campaigns is dumb. I wouldn't call them short, they're all, there's like 3 6-hour campaigns in there. It doesn't give any single chasm pane enough room to establish itself. I'll give you that. The story is kind of hard to pick up. Yeah, it's not scary. I mean, Resident Evil 5 isn't scary. Resident Evil 2 isn't scary. Does the merchant take EBT? No. 4 through 6 objectively had the best gameplay.
The most holy.
Objectively. I love how people use that word nowadays.
So then you will go.
RE5 is also weak. It's just a way less hearted than 6.
Never.
You heard the lady. How unfortunate. Do make sure our guest feels at home now that he has chosen death.
He looks like the psychic chick from Poltergeist a little bit. Just with one of those stupid,
Leon?
like old-timey judgy haired wigs. Also, their obsession with co-op made 5 and 6 worse to play solo. That's fair. I'll give you that. They're made with solo in mind because Sheva is an ammo dumpster. Will use your herbs on the slightest boo-boo. And then 6, that's less the case in 6 because you're in charge of your own inventory. But those games are a fucking blast in co-op. And I can be like, oh, that's co-op. That's a bad argument. Every game, you can eat dog shit with a friend and it'll be fun. But that doesn't change the fact that it's fun. No. Let me suplex you. No! Shit, that was close. Ah, shit! It's bad design for mainline. Your mom's bad design. Suplex, baby! They're like co-op games. They should have made spin-offs. I mean, you don't have to play them co-op. I played 5 and 6 single player. I mean, they're fine. They're still doable. It's just Sheva's annoying. That's the biggest part. And they removed the Sheva issue with 6. I'll spin you off. Hey, what up? You're fine and doable. Thanks, baby.
No good.
No thanks, bro. Welcome back, Paul and Dry. Yes, I played 5 single player. Is objectively worse as a solo game because the co-op oriented design. Still not a bad game. Wait, what button is it? Oh, it's this one. But it's okay to disagree. That's what makes this world beautiful. Until people take disagreements too seriously and they start killing each other. Because killing is wrong. In fact, there should be a new word for it. Like bad wrong. Or badong. Yes. Killing is badong. Why do they make RE games bad?
There's gotta be another way to get to the core.
Very brave. What's brave? This way. Alright, bitch, climb. Bitch, go.
Be careful.
Add in 3 minutes. I might take a break during the ad break so I can go pee pee. Wait for that. So, okay, y'all. That's for you, Lemon. You don't have to thank me. That it? I think I can go through here. What are you up to, Paul? And Dry. You guys playing anything? I hate the area that's coming up next with what's his name? The blind ones that react to sound and the shit on their back. What's that called? I forget. But that's the part you're thinking about. I hate it too. I don't hate it. It's just it's hard. And I don't like that kind of thing. Can I craft anything else? Shotgun shells? No. Submachine guns are kind of nice though. Yeah, Paul. Wait, I was playing Rocket League, but Dry scared by my skills. Yeah, Paul is too good. I can't keep up. Have you guys played with Cyber? I think Cyber's second language is Rocket League. Yeah, let's use this. It's like when Goku and Vegeta are fighting in the sky, and then you see Tien and like Krillin, they're like, I can't keep up. I can't see what's happening. Like that. You know what I'm talking about? It's like that. Yeah, those two like to bully me in 2v1s. I don't want to speak ill of Cyber, but my win rate today with Dry was 50% better than with Cyber. I'll call Cyber right now. Call him right now. Call him right now. You ready for this? Are you ready for this? Let's see if he answers. It's kind of late. I'm putting him on speaker too. Wait, I mean, I do want to speak Ella Cyber. All right, let's see. You guys hear that? He's not gonna answer. Probably inside of Amanda. Or being a good dad.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Alright, if he calls back, we'll pick this up. Wait, I tried. Damn it, he ruined my fucking bit. Where am I going? I got turned around. Wait. Oh, yeah, it's this way, it's this way. No, it's this way. Yeah, he ruined the bit. Fuck that guy. What did Cyber say? He said call forwarded. Yeah, I fucking hate fighting these guys. God damn it. Oh, god damn it. It's probably getting pegged right now. Totally. That's exactly what's happening. Oh! Hey, what up, buddy? You're on stream. You busy?
I was just out back talking to Amanda, but I saw you called.
Oh,
I was like,
tell Amanda I said hi.
Let me call him back real quick.
Okay, I'm on stream right now, and Paul said he was playing Rocket League, but Dry was scared off by his skills, and he says he doesn't want to speak ill of Cyber, but his win rate today was 50% better than with you. You let him talk to you like that?
I mean, yeah, I'm hanging out with Amanda, so.
Oh, you are gonna let him talk to you like that. Well, I mean, I'm not saying playing right now.
Are you playing?
No, I'm on stream, and I just wanted to talk shit.
Oh.
Jay says you're gay, and Jay says Amanda's gay too.
Makes sense.
Ask him how big the dildo she's pegging him with is. How big's the dildo she's pegging you with?
I don't know, how big is it?
Barely. Wait, what'd she say?
He wasn't talking about me. They were talking.
Paul says this is why Amanda won't play Rocket League with us.
And Paul says you won't play Rocket League with us.
She says she won't.
About, like, he's right.
Your boy says hi.
I'm pretty high, yeah.
I'm not gonna ask that, Dry.
Who's your ass?
All right, he says ask Amanda if she can fart on the mic for me. For him. Okay. Oh, damn, she did it, dude. You excited? It says if not, ask Cyber if he can fart on the mic for him.
Oh, hold on.
Nice.
I think I changed my pants now.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like a wet one for sure. All right, well, I'll leave you back to it. The bit got ruined anyway.
I love you, boo boo.
I love you too, boo boo. All right, man. You guys both have a good night. I'll see you soon. I promise. We have to watch Demons 2, and I want to play Outbreak 2, especially since I have like 2 to 3 streams of this left, and I'm gonna need some more RE after that, dude. So I'll be by.
Just come over this weekend so you can set my shit up, and then we can watch that movie.
I can try. So I'll be working.
No, don't.
No. Real quick. No. I'm doing a PA thing Friday, Saturday. I could try for Sunday. Okay. Okay. Like as I'm saying, if not, for sure next weekend. But I'm gonna try for this one.
If you don't, I'm gonna just fucking hit like a tree as hard as I can.
Can I watch?
Okay. I mean, you can be in the car with me.
Oh, in the car. Okay, even better. All right. You'd be like, I'm taking you with me, and it's just fucking. All right. Sounds good, buddy.
All right.
I love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
That was fun.
What was that? Do they keep animals down here or something?
Ooh, shotgun ammo. Fuck! Oh, shit. Okay, you go there. Then you go there. You go that way. I'll go home. I'm a little nervous because this part is a little tough. Because I think I fall through the floor here, right? Dungeon key. The light is lost. Ha muerto la luz. Did I say that right? No, probably not. I'm gonna fall through the floor, right? Meow! Told you. I remember. Muerto la luz is the light has died. Thanks, Try.
Can't see me.
It's John Cena. Or I'm John Cena. Dude, he's got fucking Austin Powers tummy. Look at that. Oh my god, what's the strongest weapon I fucking have right now? Okay. Ah, wait. Okay. Examine. 3.7. $9.6. Oh, I got the Magnum. What is this? 15. All right. Oh shit. No! Oh shit, he killed me. Ah! Okay, that's fine. I'll be better. I'll be good. Making noise alerts these enemies to your position, so tread carefully. Walking is quieter than running, and crouching is quieter than walking. Oh. If you don't know, now you know, neighbor Joey. I'll be quick. That's why the lower half is still warm. I'll be quick. While that lower half is still warm. Ah, I see. Nice, 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 nice. He means anal sex with the dead monster. Oh! I get it.
Can't see me.
Also, I'm pretty sure I can parry his attacks too. I should get on that. Sneaky, sneaky. Sneaky, sneaky. Oh my god, 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 oh my god! Okay. Oh shit, dude. Don't come this way, please. You can pair anal sex as well, can you? Oh shit! Motherfucker. I didn't want to have to use this! Alright. Phew! Wait. That first. Who else is in here? Let me loot. Das Loot! Especially since I've never needed inventory space more in an RE4 game than I do now. So, Alright, 1 second. Alright, cool. Sick. Alright. Just want to make sure there's anything. There probably is something back here where he was. A key or a golden bolt plug that I can sell. Some. Guess not. Just wishful thinking. So what's my inventory space? Look, yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. Oh, is that a? No. Fuck. I thought that was a first aid spray for a sec. I think there's another guy here, right? Where did basic go? Shit, I can't scroll up. Anyway, it's fine. God, forgot the name. Whoever said they hate this next area. I think there's more of the them blind motherfuckers. Like, I'm pretty sure I fight 2 of them at once, but that's later in like a bigger room. If I'm not mistaken. Oh wait, is that G? Okay, okay, it's higher up.
Oh, it's you. What happened down there?
Nothing.
Caretaker's note. I was awoken in the middle of the night once again. It's those awful noises coming from the basement. The sounds of nails clawing at the stone walls and the writhing moan of curses. Fuck! Shit, bitch! That man harbors enough hate to ruin this world. He once served the lord of the castle as the torturer, like his father and grandfather before him. I'm a sadist. Like my father before me. It's one of the more unsightly legacies left by the Salazar family. Even among his family, he was special. He enjoyed his work wholeheartedly and had a talent for it. He was gifted at tormented others. Fuck off, Lemon. You do this every time. Hey! 10 viewers. Oh, yeah, thank you, dude. Thank you for the raid, man. I appreciate you. Wait. What's that noise? What up, dude? Thank you for the raid. I appreciate that. What up, Cracker? First of all, it's Cracker, okay? I'm an African, a cracker. No, not much. Just playing through Resident Evil 4 Remake. Hi, everybody. If you're new here, my name is Shattered Limit. Hold on now. Oh, nice. It's Lemon and Deadwolf fighting, probably.
How am I gonna start the game before you were picking the game?
I was still closing the other game down, bro.
I'd waited until I saw what you picked, and then I booted up what you picked.
Hey, that's our word.
Crazy.
Hi everybody. My name's Shattered Limit. I'm a variety streamer. I'm playing a lot of Resident Evil. I'm almost done. Devil, how was your stream? I was watching some of it. His ability soon attracted the master's interest, and when he took him into the dungeon, no, I can't write anymore. I won't. I want to recall what I don't want to recall what happened down there. My mind can't take it. It will break me. It will break me. I was ordered to attend to him, to feed him, dispose of the filth, all while listening to that wretched voice every night. I can't take it anymore. I've had enough. I will not tolerate one more night in this castle. I shall leave tomorrow. Thank you. Go far away where that voice cannot reach my ears. Who did that? What up, your boy? Digimon is dope. Yeah, how you liking it compared to... Because you liked Hacker's Memory a lot, right? Was that the one that you liked? That you were streaming was Hacker's Memory? Looks dope. Well, now, will this key work on the other shit? I don't know, actually. Let me check. A lot of RE. Yeah, I'm almost done. There's this, and then there's Outbreak File 2. If I can stop being a cunt and actually go to my friend's house to set up his emulator so we can play together. And then I'm gonna do like a bunch of like the weird random mobile spin-offs and shit. Like the Generation for the N-Gage. That's on my list. And the missions and Genesis for N-Gage. I mean Nokia. Fuck. Like Nokia, like Java, like old shit. It has a similar feature and new ones to make playing very nice. What kind of features?
Ooh, you have the stench of welcome. Got a selection of good things on sale, thank you.
No.
A well-tuned weapon can make up for a lack of skill, friend.
Honestly, I want to fucking... Do you have a scope for me, dude? I will take one of these, though.
I don't always have come back anytime.
Auto healing out of battle? Oh, so after you finish your battle, you fully heal? Like... Doesn't... There are... I think it's a Final Fantasy that does that, unless I'm tripping. But I remember playing like a console JRPG where you heal out of every... by standing still. Oh, that's cool too. Like a short rest. That's fair. You can go pee-pee. Then you come back and you're like, I'm healed. Can I open this? A ping. Sick. I'm glad you're liking it. When did that come out? That's like a new one, isn't it? For scanning. So a lot of like quality of life improvements based on like the last two, which is Story Sleuth and then or Story Cyber Sleuth and then Hacker's Memory. I'm glad you're liking it, dude. Last week, I think. Nice. So it's new. Because I remember seeing a trailer and hearing about it and it looked pretty hype. I just didn't know when it was out.
You okay?
The new Digi Farm is also cool. Dude, honestly, I'm still tripping off of the tiny adult that is apparently a Digimon that you showed me. Like, is it a kid? No, it's a Digimon. Don't worry about it. Fuck. So, Pesetas. Now where? There he is. Shut up. Oh, there's spindles here. Kia. Pesetas. Okay, let's go. Honestly, the castle is a very fun portion. I like this. I think I like the village more, but the castle's fun. But then also I like the island more than I like the castle. So this is fun. It's all fun. This game fucks. Good game. It's good game. A rusted sword with a chipped blade. It has been dulled for display. Cannot be used as a weapon. Iron sword. One of these puzzles. Golden sword. Oh, dragon tails, dragon tails. Can't press this button yet. But I can shoot those. Not enough? Alright, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. Hey Ashley, guess what? Boom! Just shoot her in the face. Alright, alright. So I'm gonna guess this is probably the bronze or like the rusted sword because it's dead. Also, I like to imagine he was gifted this brand spanking new. He got this one, iron sword. It's probably all wrong. Let's oh, okay, oxbird snake. The stag? Okay. I got it. Oh, then bloodied sword.
What's that used for?
Well, it's just a replica.
I'll tell you when you're older.
A couple of uses for it.
Alright, so bloodied sword is probably here actually. And then I was probably right with the rusted over here as he's dead. He's dead, Dave. Huh? Yeah!
Huh. Guess you were right.
Oh shit. Fuck. Hold on. Let's get rid of this. That's annoying. Actually, it's fine. It's fine. Can I craft anything? It's a machine gun. Okay, that's not so bad. And yeah, I got the snake. Snake. Or nar. I need more. I want to hear it, Jay. Is it underneath me or above me? Under. Okay, that's fine. I can get it. I'll get it. So this is snake and fishy.
Before, isn't it?
Where's the snake at?
Guess we just circled around.
Oh yeah. Where is it? It's right here. Oh, wait, no. Oh, idiots. I thought it was one of the floaty ones, you know? That's fine. Alright, we're gonna save Ashley. Then I'm gonna go PP. And I'll be back to kill some shit. Oh, he's right here.
Welcome. What can I interest you in?
Done.
I'll buy almost anything.
Oh, and the Viper, I guess. Can be used to restore health. Actually, I'm gonna keep the snake. The snake. Well, I will save. And then I will go PP.
Hello.
Alright, we're back.
Attack on Titan. Yeah, I still gotta get on that. Oh shit, he's eating her butt. He's eating her butt. Don't eat my butt. Oh.
He's coming out of the glory hole.
Get back in your glory hole, chicken.
The cock is going in the glory hole.
In Soviet Russia, cock beats you.
Yeah, beat his ass, beat his ass. Oh, glory hole.
He's in it. Zordon, he's coming out of some sort of galactic glory hole. Heyo. Ew. Ew. Damn, dude. What the fuck were you drinking? You rocking it. Alright. Like break the TV?
Which is why I encourage all of you, just go out there and compliment somebody, you know? I do it all the time.
Lower difficulty? Fuck you! I'm gonna lower these nuts onto your chin. Dicks. Dicks. Dicks.
Oh shit, he's eating her butt. He's eating her butt. Don't eat my butt.
It's the FBI, motherfucker! Open up!
Catch. Oh shit. Later, Prince. No, I did not. No, I did not. Ew. Ew. Damn, dude. What the fuck were you drinking? Thank you. Gang, gang. Gang, gang. These nuts. Gang, gang.
Fat Texas State them now!
Sucks I'm out of shotgun ammo, but there'll be more. You know? Wait, what the fuck?
I barely know you, but you seem cool. Here you go. What?
Guys. Okay. Oh, Jesus. Oh, fuck. Damn, bro. You okay, Carlos? Is your oil okay? I like the sound of that. Oh, he's fucked up. He's like bugging right now. I'll cheese the fuck out of you. Hell yeah. I lucked out. Did you drop anything? That's funny.
This is amazing. Oh, what up, Salt? Do you go by Salt or Tofu? I've been teeter-tottering. How's your day going? Paint me like one of your French girls. Can I? Promise?
What game is that? Black screens. Crying? Look, it's like shouting out Pokemon. Pokecatch. That's funny. And I heard that. I was like, oh shit. Like, is that fire alarm going off? I was like, that scared the shit out of me.
Don't touch me. Oh, fuck. What? What? Don't look at me. Don't look at me. You saw nothing. I meant to do that.
Check the DMs. Just sending me. And we're back. Oh my god, you're wearing the hoodie again? Hi. Charge my phone. Yay, yay. Also. Nothing.
Stranger.
I think I saved. When in doubt, save again. I think I saved. It's whatever. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Alright, let me climb up this way. Oh. No. SF. Add in 1 minute and 40 seconds. Sorry, everybody. Alright, so we had the snake and the little birdie bird.
Don't even think about trying this yourself.
Now think about it. Thank you.
Leon, are you kidding me? Jumping across chandeliers, seriously, who does that?
Are you
My mother?
impressed? Oh, there's nothing. Shit. What the fuck did I hit?
Welcome. Got a selection of good things on thank you. Come back anytime.
Tune up. Camera camera knife. Oh, we're fine. We're good. We're Gucci. I was gonna upgrade though.
Weapons are in good hands, mate. I'll see you right.
Thanks, fam. Honestly, power for the Magnum is kind of dope. When are you gonna put the redeem where John Bernthal says, let me tell you something. Which one? He says it like 12,000 times. Probably never though. No, I think I'm happy with the no. Wait. And then Cyber, if he ever streams, just kidding. Sorry, Cyber. He's got the what is that? What is that? Yeah. Okay, and then I'm gonna hop on the other side real quick. What are you up to now, your boy? What you got going on? What's going on in your neck of the woods? The dated ass reference nobody gets anymore. Watch the chandelier actually break. That'd be amazing.
Shut up, bitch!
No, you.
Leave this one to me.
Oh, do it.
Hey, wait, Leon!
Yeah. Dummy? What? Oh, yeah, we're here. Hey, what up, babe? Yeah. Now this one is... Oh, they're both open. Oh! Wait, did I do the whole thing by accident? I was not even thinking, you know? There was no power behind that. Just working. Oh, that's right. Dude, I keep forgetting. You're like on a holy shit graveyard shift, right? How much more you got on your shift? I hope it's going well, sir. I love this fucking game so much. Working D's nuts. Nice. Salutations, Mr. Kennedy.
Not this guy again.
Jay, don't you dare. Don't you fucking dare. Don't you do it. Please? Okay. You scare me every time I hear that. I love the redeem, but now I have like fucking broken stream PTSD. How's Grandia going, dude? I know, right? You still playing it? Just fix your shit. I don't know what's wrong with it. That's the problem. I guess I could switch from, because you don't use mix it up. You use, if I see this like 18 times, I'm sorry. It's like flame or fire or something. Right? Shit like that. I swear it starts with like an F. Fuse, not fuse. Fire? Flame? It's something like that, isn't it? Anyway. Parasites and their ecology, volume 2. It's having issues with my PC. It works perfect on my Steam Deck, but gets major slowed on my PC. Kind of annoying. Wait, what does that? Wait, what's having issues on the PC? I'm not sure I'm following. My bad. I was asking about what you were using for your. Oh, Grandia. Wait. Oh, that's right. We were talking about this. The fact. God damn this song. I gotta trim that. Like half the song right here. The fact that Grandia, which is a Sega Saturn and PS1 game, is having trouble running on your PC is concerning. All right, there's some parasites that have the ability to control their hosts. This is basic. I love that one. Probably it's a borked port. Really? I only have 2 on PC, but I have 1 and 2 on Switch, and that's how I've been mainly playing it. Hey Jay, I have a question. Actually, first of all, that sucks. Also, welcome back, Lemon. When I stream Grandia 2, I own it physically, like on Dreamcast. Should I just say fuck it? And for the sake of, I guess, presentation, should I play the HD one or should I actually play off my Dreamcast? It's right here, actually. Ooh, yeah. I also have it on PS2, also right here. But yeah, what do you think? What do you think's preferred, or do you? Doesn't matter. I'm just curious. I would do HD, but I don't know. I don't know, because like, part of me wants to just hold the Dreamcast controller. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. The following is a list of several such parasites. Dicro. Wait, hold on. Is it Dicerocoelium? I feel like Trump when he was trying to say acetaminophen. Once the larvae of this parasite migrate to the ant's esophagus, they alter the behavior of the ant. Oh yeah, it's the. There was a dope X-Files episode based on this shit. It's the cordyceps. When the temperature drops in the evening during the peak grazing hours, the infected ant climbs to the top of the plant and clamps onto a leaf using its mandible with the intention of being eaten. Galactosomum. The larvae of this parasite makes their home inside the brain of a fish, such as the yellowtail and the parrot bass. Stupid. Once infected, the fish makes its way up to the water surface where it will swim until eaten by seabirds. Don't say fuck it. Actually, fuck it. Leucochloridium. Bedtime night bitches. Peace out, Lemon. Oh wait, dude, I don't think I ever gave you a shout out, did I? Hold on, don't miss your shout out. Check your clip. Come here, baby. Come here, baby. Check your shout out, baby. Let's see what clip you got, baby. Oh, there's a fear. Nice.
Nice.
I think I clipped this. Good night, bro. Thanks for hanging out. More gear soon. Let's play gear soon. God damn it. I hate saying this shit. Hold on, let me just fucking ball. Oh, I remember. You're choking on your fucking vape. Couldn't be me. No, it's because you got surprised. Thanks, fam. Not a problem, dude. Hope you have a great rest of your night. Flawless. Oop, what did I do? Cool. Here.
Fuck, no good.
What's up here? This is where it came from? This is where it came from, isn't it? Yeah. I know where I'm at. Nope. No. Joey. Joey. Peace out, Lemon. Oh, this is that part. Let's fuck him up. Fuck him up! Oh,
Leon, they're here.
Ah, the entertainment. coming.
Bitch. Fucker. Wait, actually, wait. I was pressing D. God damn it. I did it again. Oh shit, they fucking took her. Hold on, I might actually get a game over right here real quick. Ashley! God damn it. Bye. Peace out, Ashley. Joey, yeah, I know, that's fair. Oh boy, I was just praising this area too, and the first thing I do is die. It's okay. It's alright, it's okay. I ain't worried about it. I ain't fucking worried about it. Because you guys are fucking shit, right? I just start crashing out.
Leon, they're here.
Ah, the entertainment. One
down. Oh, fucking fuck. Leave it. No parasites, please. Parasite.
Move. One down. All right.
I'm gonna go poop, beat the game while I'm gone. Okay. Yeah, man, I'll try my best, okay? Okay, that's perfect, actually. Actually, keep it tight. Is it control? Yeah.
Okay.
I hear more of them. Where are they? It's actually kind of freaky because I can hear their chanting. I just can't tell where it's coming from. So I'm like, ah! You know? Cantillos. I don't know what that means or what they're saying. I probably said the wrong thing. I wish I spoke Spanish. Damn it, Mom. No. Fuck. Full health. Can I craft anything? Jace. Ooh, I got bonus ammo for that shit too. Tight. E. Then. Yeah, maybe I should. You should add a mod where every time you walk, it makes the sound of oh, the quick. the boots. Nice. The boots in the episode about the ski boots. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Can I take your order? Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a piece I need to find. Okay. Shall we get in the game? And I go up here? Oh, I can't. Oh, shit. Oh no, I thought that was a new message. Alright, I'm just looting, just double checking. I gotta go down, not up. Right? Am I going this way? I think I'm going this way. I gotta fall. Yeah.
Out of the way.
Oh shit. Oh shit! Motherfucker. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, did he just kill me? Oh my god, I never died that way before. That's fucking new. Cool. Still sucks I have to do it again, and Jay's gonna be like, yo, I just came back from my shit and you're still here? Calling it. Yep. Oh shit. Ashley, no! Wait. Everybody, wait, fucking wait. Oh my god. Don't kill the Ashley, please. Oh my god, please die. Oh my god. For real? Oh, what the fuck? They can spit? Alright. Holy f... No, I'm fine, actually. Just say you like this area so much you want to explore it more. I mean, I do. Oh, I see. So I would tell Jay that. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
It's funny. I like that.
Alright.
There's a whole explosive barrel there I probably could have used. Probably should have used. What's up, dog? This way. Oh, there's more. Oh, it's a chick. Yeah, I think we're good here. I don't think... Oh, no, we're not good here.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
I'll be fine. Alright. Oh boy. Alright. Alright, overall. I'll eat the snake next. Snake eater. Oh yeah, there's fucking thing over here. Oh. Wait, what? Oh. Nothing. It's right there. Sorry. Stupid.
This should do the trick.
Oh. Ashley? Just to give her a gun. Who the fuck's shooting shit? Oh. Oh shit, it's you. Fuck. Where? Shoot! Wait, wait! Why isn't he shooting? I was pressing shoot. I don't want to waste my ammo though, but I'm trying it again. Why wasn't he shooting? I was clicking. That's weird. Right, for real. Oh shit. I hear parasite. Alright, who's still shooting crossbow shit? You're annoying me.
Nice shot.
Thanks, babe. There you are, you whore!
You alright?
Yeah, no big deal.
Gotti, I think. We'll see. Alright, we're going this way. Oh, wait. It's right here. I remember. Actually, no. Yep. Oh, fuck. I actually remember this part. I wish I had rifle ammo. Ooh. Oh, I can make some. Asking these shall receive.
We're not out of the woods yet.
Did you win? You didn't win yet? No, not the whole game. I'm sorry, man. I know you were really adamant on me doing that. I'm just not that good to be able to finish this in 10 minutes. Sorry. Fake fan. Kia! Dude, I think you're gonna love this game. Well, I mean, I know your opinions on 4, 5, and 6, but what's your take on RE4? Like, what do you think? I don't know. I actually don't know your opinion. I think you like it. Good game, bad Resident Evil. Is that kind of where you're at with 4, just in general? I love 4. Okay. Well then, dude, you're gonna love this. You just hate the direction it took the series, right? That's Nick, or is that the music? I just think it's the wrong lessons we're learning from 4. Okay, I mean that's a fair criticism, because that's what I was saying earlier. It's like I totally understand if you have it in your mind, you know, to a certain point before the series evolved with 4 of what Resident Evil should be. I can see somebody disagreeing with this direction, you know, and then agreeing with. I think the course correct that 7 did is one of the most major moments in Resident Evil, because it brought the horror back, you know. I love 7. 7's a great game.
Come on.
Hey.
I just also love the deviation it had.
Okay.
Yeah, I got this.
Where you at? Oh shit.
One down.
No, I can't.
Be careful. All right.
Fuck. No, you motherfuckers! Wait. I'll be right there.
Hang on, I've got you.
God damn it, guys. Are they down here yet? I'm just waiting for them to come down here too.
Okay, get back here.
Come here, babe. Oh, all right, you're fine. All right, let's go! Yeah, dude, I'm pretty stoked to stream Grandia. I actually haven't. I've only played through Grandia 1 once, and there's some moments that just really sit well with me, thinking back to it. But I'm actually really looking forward to reliving the sweetness. It's such a cute game. And then Grandia 2, it got me through a lot at a weird time. So I'm always gonna love that game. Fuck. What can I craft? It's fun and has a good combat system. It's just so goofy. One is very goofy. Like, I honestly thought you had like a very fair criticism from what you told me. I was like, yeah, I can see that, because it is a very the tone in the beginning is just, it's very juvenile, which, you know, it can have it's not inherently bad. It's just, and I know you and like your taste for the most part. It's good when a game with like a world-ending threat takes itself seriously. Because one is very much like just kids, you know. It's basically Dennis the Menace, the RPG. But with an amazing combat system. 2 cuts that shit out, and it feels more like a traditional like tone. And I played 2 first. It's just like passively mentioning my mom was a ferocious pirate captain when she was a teenage girl. Yeah, and you're like, I want to play your mom's story. I agree. I totally know what you're talking about, dude. You are 100% right. Your mom's cooler than you, Justin. And Sue. Is Fina part of your team yet?
Looks like the right place. You okay?
I think so.
I showed you all my Grandia 2 shit, right? I started over. I just got the pass to the new world. Okay. How many hours would you say that is? Oof. What is with Resident Evil and grabbing the blade?
Temperance, child.
Only 2 hours or so, probably. Oh, okay. The stuff I'm thinking of is like 12 hours in. But like I said, I haven't played it so long that like the pace of it, the placement of certain beats, I actually don't really remember that well. I just remember the revelations and like the major stuff. So I'm actually really looking forward to replaying it. Like I played through it once, and it was actually probably like 2016. That sounds about right. That was like the year of the Vita for me, because that was also when I played through the entire Metal Gear Solid franchise. off stream. Well, actually, no, that's a lie, because I didn't play Acid. I didn't play Acid 2. I didn't play VR missions. I didn't play Ghost Babel, but like the main Kojima saga, including Portable Ops and Revengeance, if you want to go that route. Did I save? I think I did, but I don't care. All right, back, typewriter, storage, some shit in there. You go away for now. Oh, fuck, that's right. It's not like an item box. I can only put weapons in there. Take weapons out. I'll put the rifle. God damn it, Castle. I'll put the rifle away. For now. I don't think I need it yet. If I do, I can always pull it back at like a save point. Oh, yeah. Oh, and item for all these healing herbs, healing first aid sprays. I guess to play some, since we're talking about it, no pressure. Like, I give you shit, but like, I really am a to each their own kind of guy. Like, if for whatever reason you didn't like it, like I might talk shit, but I get it. You know, not every game's for everybody. Just same. I hate Smash Brothers. I fucking hate it so much. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of it does stem from me being bad at it, but I don't like those games. They don't feel like good fighting games to me, and people like to call it a fighting game, and I think that's the context that fucks with me, you know? But I'm not a Smash Brothers fan by any means. I'll do it, you know, like I'm at a party, hey, we're playing Smash, I'll be like, fuck, fine. But I'm never happy about it. I'm never looking forward to Smash. Sounds like a skill issue. It is. I'll admit. Like, I suck at it, but like even then, it's just like I'm not a fan of the overall mechanics of Smash. I understand and I do see the appeal. It's just not for me, you know? And I feel like that's one of my bigger gaming sins, apparently, because everybody likes to fucking come hard to fucking Smash Brothers. Smash is massively overrated.
Things went to shit.
Thank you, dude. I can't tell you how good that was to read. From somebody whose opinion I respect.
You're breaking up. Do you read me?
I got tired of it a while ago. The Wii was the last time I really got into it. Honestly, I think the Wii's the last time I played it. Because one of my roommates back in student housing, they had Smash. Brawl is what I meant to say. And it was fine, you know, it's Smash, but as somebody who like it's to me it's like inoffensive. I fucking hate it.
Having a rough day, stranger.
I think back in the day when I was hanging out with my cousin, I liked the first one, but it's just because I didn't have an N64. It was just like a novelty of it. But oh, Nintendo fighting game. But even then, I wasn't really playing it right. I was just pushing buttons. Like, you know. I did play a lot of Melee and Brawl with friends back then. Yeah, honestly, like with friends, sure, but like to be like the main, like, dude, Smash does like some heavy hitter sales numbers, man, and I just don't get it.
I've got something
People love Smash, and I wish I saw it. I wish I saw the appeal like that. Like I understand it. It's just I'll never feel that. I think maybe I'm broken. Just say y'all can't play a good. Just say you can't play. Sorry. Just say y'all can't play that good is all. No, I admit it. I suck at Smash.
Don't worry. I offer repair.
I'm not even fighting that. I'm a pretty mid Smash player, but even then, I don't have fun playing it. It was better. It was a Nintendo fighting game, to be honest. It's too diluted with a million characters now. Yeah, dude, they started associating characters that I don't associate with Nintendo. Why is Sora? Why is Sora in Smash Brothers? Why is Ryu in Smash Brothers? Why is Cloud in there? I think Cloud's in there. Maybe Joker, just because Persona 5 Royal was on Switch first, but no, that's a stretch, dude. Yeah, they got really weird with it, and they still no Waluigi. Even as somebody who has no stake in the game, I really shouldn't care. I do feel that Waluigi should be in there. Like, that's weird that you have the fucking Chain Chomp or whatever, or the Piranha Plant, but not Waluigi. What are you doing? Yeah. No, you have a shortcut. Does this have a shortcut? No, but I'm not going to, because I always accidentally pick it up. I'm actually incredibly good at Smash. I even played in a Melee tourney back in the day. How did you do in the tournament though? Did you place? Because that'd be pretty dope. I'll beat you in Smash too. Honestly, I would be down to watch you guys play Smash. That'd be kind of fun. Like, I don't want to play, but I'll be there to, you know, emotionally sap off of what you guys are feeling. This is where I came from. I'm just checking before it is this way. There's nothing for me over here. You want to see? Well, I'm not pro tier by any stretch, but I beat every normie. Yeah, I can guarantee you'll probably kick my ass at Smash. Like, I'm pretty, like, average. I'm not good at Smash. But I get it. Oh, shit. Are you guys dead or alive?
This is messed up.
I'm a sweating Smash. Sweat. I'm a sweat Smash. I'm not normal. I'm special. Sonic, I will give you Sonic. Only because Sega doesn't have a console anymore. And it's kind of like a weird, like, because the whole Sega versus Nintendo back in the day. I can see something like that. But it's almost as annoying as having, like, Heihachi as your fucking special character in Soul Calibur 2 on PlayStation 2. That's a weak-ass fucking guest character. Fuck Heihachi. Maybe Cloud or fucking Dante or something. Heihachi. Maybe. I haven't played a single round of Smash in about 5 years, but I bet with a single afternoon of practice, I could beat your ass. You guys should play Smash and stream it. I'd watch that. That'd be fun. I know you both got Ultimate. Where do I go? Down here? Cloud wasn't Smash. Yeah, I figured. I remember seeing something like that. Yeah, Cloud. No. I wasn't talking about Smash. I was talking about Soul Calibur 2. I was saying that, fuck, what was the comparison I made? I was in support of Sonic and Smash Brothers Brawl, I think is the one. But I was saying it's like, it's unlike what they did with fucking Heihachi in Soul Calibur 2, who I think was a weak ass choice for the PS2 version of Soul Calibur 2. I don't want to install and play Smash again. I don't like the Switch one in the first place. That's fair. I like the Smash. I mean, fucking, I like the Switch. I don't have any more Smash Bros games or Nintendo consoles, and I refuse to pay for any Nintendo consoles. That I understand too. All right, never mind. I just thought it'd be fun, but fuck you guys. Where do I go? Hold on. Wait, hold on. I'm missing something. Where do I go? This is locked. This is not a gate, right? There's nothing to interact with over here. I can't hop over that little fence I can clearly hop over, right? I tried and it wouldn't let me. Hang on, get in there. Oh, it didn't prompt me. It didn't prompt me. I just pressed F on it. If someone has Smash Brothers in a way to play it and I am in the room, I will play it. Maybe I'd be willing to emulate Melee and beat your boy's ass. Yeah, because what's it called? It's starts with a P. It's not Prism. Is it? Prism is the Linux thing, but maybe it has a feature with this, but there is a program that starts with a P, I want to say, that lets you connect emulators. Like someone will host and then somebody can hop in as like a player 2, like a port 2, you know what I mean? Across the internet. And the reason that's important, and Jay, you with me? You with me here? Because this is something I want to do. I know you want to play all the Final Fantasies. I really want to play Crystal Chronicles this way. I saw that there is a way. Somebody emulates and hosts it, and then I think it works with like MGBA or some sort of Game Boy Advance emulator, but you can use that as the controller, because that's how you have to do it with Crystal Chronicles back in the day, across the internet. Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, dude, if I can get that working, that'd be sick. And I might actually reach out to you sooner than later, because I think that would be really fun. I would love to play Crystal Chronicles. It'll be you. I've actually gone over this. It'll be me, you, Cyber, and then it would have to be Deadwolf, because Deadwolf is somebody that's been trying to get me to play that game with them for over a decade. I'm not even exaggerating. I think it was like 2009 when that idea first spat out. But I think that would be so good, dude, if we can get that working. The voice of pestilence dwells in the flames, leading to pitiful souls of salvation. Consign the crimson flames to its rightful place, for you shall be enlightened and the path revealed. Oh shit! All right. Oh Lord, they coming. I need a torch. But yeah, I'll look into it. But also the program starts with a P. It's not Prism. Plasma. It's something, dude. Oh, I think I can shoot that guy and actually end this shit.
Is he doing this?
Ah! Fuck. Fuck you, please. No parasites. Yeah, I'm running this guy because he's gonna do some shit. Oh. You know what? No thanks, bro. Alright, that got easier. As for the tournament I was in, I never lost, but I had to leave after my first 2 matches. I honestly don't remember what happened. Some sort of family emergency or something. That's what they all say. I'm fucking with you. That must be annoying.
Sorry.
I actually had a tournament that I was in. It was Puzzle Fighter, because I'm pretty good at Puzzle Fighter. And an old roommate of mine, I don't want to name names, but they were like drunk as fuck and in my ear. And I'm like, dude, get the fuck away from me. Like, why are you here? Anyway, having somebody nagging in my ear during this tournament, it cost me the game. I was doing pretty good. And I was pissed, but it's okay. I went to White Castle after, and that made things okay, because sliders rock. This was way back when, I don't know, I heard, like, I had to emphasize the way back when Melee was the most recent Smash game. Oh damn, dude, I was in middle school. Smash is what, 2002? There was no big tournament scene. It was in a big comic shop in Phoenix. Oh yeah, dude, if it's your local neighborhood, I'm pretty sure you fucking would have clean house. Real winners would say the family emergency can wait till after I play Smash. Tell him. Kidding. Oh shit! I hear somebody panting. I hear somebody else panting. It's freaking me out a little bit, but come here. Come here. Come here! I didn't notice these before. Fuck you, bitch! Who else? Anybody else? Somebody's either like running around or fapping. Oh, I knew it! Where the fuck are you? You over here? Who the fuck shot that? There you are, you bitch. There's somebody else too. I hear them on the right.
One down.
Cool. Thanks, Leon, for telling me, because I didn't know that. hold on, what does it say? So it was a large tourney for the time with actual cash rewards, but it was still like 2004 or something. Say with $50 and a can of Surge. No, I could actually see like a local, like, was there a buy-in? Even then, they're good for the 250, honestly probably 1K. You could have won, but I imagine like something like 250. That sounds like a bullshit prize I would give. I just love how nowadays, and it sucks it's all in the fucking like Rainbow Six fucking scene, but and like Overwatch, but I love the idea of esports. You know? I mean, Phoenix is a big city. It's not like there were 10 people playing. No, I'm sure, but it's not like like an Evo, you know? That's kind of what I meant. Like it's I'm sure there was a big turnout, but it's not like a major fucking every single motherfucker but me played Fox. I was slapping cheeks with Ganondorf. Is that your character? You a Ganondorf guy? Is Ganondorf the one with the Spartan kick, or is that his fucking name? The fucking F-Zero guy. The esports I want to watch is DOA Extreme Volleyball. I'll watch that too. In Melee, I mained Ganon. Nice. In Melee, what I played, just because I'm a little bitch with Smash, I played Kirby. Kirby was my main. And now I think it was Ultimate. No, which one has Zero Suit Samus? Is that Brawl? Or is it 4? It's 4 with Zero Suit, right? I played Zero Suit in that. That was my other main because I'm a perv. In Brawl, I main Solid Snake. I remember trying Solid Snake, but I remember just really wanting to get good with Sonic just because the novelty of it, but I just kept killing myself because I would just zip off of the fucking map myself like a fucking idiot. But I don't think I ever really gave Snake the chance he deserved. But I remember, I think it's the Wii U one. It's for like Resident Evil. It's Smash Brothers 4U. I like Falco. Nice. I think I was actually a pretty okay Zero Suit, but the main reason I played her is because I'm gross. What's in here? Oh, is this the fucking? Yeah. Yeah, we're good. Snake can throw grenades, place mines, and use remote-controlled missiles. He's the greatest troll character of all time. So you're somebody that I know, maybe it's just a more recent thing, but you said before you kind of hate guest fighters, right? Am I misquoting you? Because it's not my intention if I am.
No good.
I'm just curious on like what your take on Snake would have been, because I guess Snake has the precedent with Metal Gear and SNES. Or even Twin Snakes. But he's not really a character I associate with Nintendo. So I thought he was another weird choice. Oh shit, there's more over here. Give me the round ones, dude. Fuck. Oh, there's one. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually remove gemstones. I'm gonna put them here. You get yellow or red, blue, and then you get red, yellow. Oh my god, I'm gonna stroke here because I was looking at this. In general, I think guest fighters dilute the brand. It was just kind of fun when it was rare. Yeah. It gets to me in cases like Smash Ultimate and Modern Mortal Kombat where half the roster is random bullshit. There are some guest fighters in Mortal Kombat that I fucking love. I will say the latest shit with like Homelander, Omni-Man, fucking who else was in there that I kind of hated? I mean, Team 1000 is cool, you know, but it's not like a Mortal Kombat. It's not like you gotta at least be kind of in the horror realm, you know. I didn't like those, but I thought at the time, and maybe in a similar sense, when it was rarer, I did like Freddy Krueger, Jason, Alien, Predator. I thought those were cool. Yeah, Peacemaker's an MK1. That's the one. I don't know if I said it, but I was thinking that. Yeah, Peacemaker's an MK1. Along with, honestly, I think Ghostface kind of works in a weird way. I think as long as like you have your toe in horror, I think you could work, but Homelander, Omni-Man, no. On the Switch, I like to play as the villager from Animal Crossing. He's the best troll to be able to put any projectile in his pocket and throw it back with twice as damage. That's a crazy thing. I don't like MK, so it's not a big deal, but that is 100% part of the reason I skip modern MK. Well, the latest MK is it's skippable, unfortunately. I thought the launch was okay, but seeing their plan with like the fucking not the crypt, it's that stupid board game shit. I forgot what they called it, but the single player content in Mortal Kombat 1 sucks dick. It's bad. It's bad. And I hate it. Huh. But the initial gameplay was kind of cool. Like, I actually like the cameo system. I just don't think it was as deep as it could have been. I still like MK11. MK11's fine. I thought it was fine. I think MK9 and 10 of the modern era, I think those two are bangers, dude. MK9 is quite possibly my favorite entry. And MKX is just a very nice sequel. I'd say after that, like maybe Trilogy. Trilogy and Deception are really close for me. Trilogy and yeah, Deception are really close. One thing that also annoys me now I think about it, because you guys know the collection, the Mortal Kombat something collection they're doing. It has the Game Boy Advance fucking versions of Deadly Alliance, and I think it has Tournament in there. What are you doing? What are you doing? Give me the fucking Deadly Alliance on console, then Deception and Armageddon. Like, what is that? What are you doing? I'm buying the collection. MK1, 2, and 3 are legit. Yeah, they are. I grew up with 1. 2 is great. 3 I have less experience with, but I do have very fond memories of it. And I played a lot of Trilogy, which is basically like 3, the Holy Shit edition. But yeah, I'd say my top 3 are probably MK9. Tag in MK is a beautiful thing that I'm really sad they got rid of. Fuck, 10's good too. I guess it would either be down to 10 and then, like I said, Trilogy and Deception they're almost tied, dude. I really can't pick one. I don't want to hear it, Jay. Don't do it. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Yeah, sorry. All right, and then yeah, let's put this in here. But yeah, I'm probably gonna get the collection too, and I'd be down to play with you, man. If you want to get down to some classic MK, that might be fun. You'll probably kick my ass. Like, it's one of those things, like Resident Evil. I'm not good at it, but I enjoy the shit out of it, you know?
You can stop right there, Leon.
It's the Ada everybody hates. I'm not good at any Mortal Kombat. I'm good at MK9.
Well, after 6 years, that is one hell of a greeting.
And I'm alright with 10.
You don't seem surprised.
But yeah, classic MK, I suck at it, but I love it. It's the vibes.
Try using knives next time. Better for close encounters.
Not a bad move. Very smooth.
So who are you working for this time?
Oh, Leon. You know I don't work in town. Leave the girl. She's lost no matter what. You walk away now, and who knows? Maybe you'll live to meet me again. And then I might get you that greeting you were looking for.
This is still a pretty hot Ada. This is my favorite Ada. Visually, at least.
Right. How about we continue this discussion another time?
And wrong. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the actress that played her in her fucking 8 seconds in Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. I'm pretty sure that's the same actress. Let me look that up. I don't want to be wrong. Lily Gao. Yeah, that's her. She played Ada in this game, and she played her in Welcome to Raccoon City. A movie that, while I don't like love, it's the closest we've gotten to at least a somewhat adaptation. Something actually attempting to resemble the fucking games. So I appreciate it in that regard, but that's like... It's not something I should praise a movie for. It's like, oh my god, you kind of look like the thing you're trying to adapt. You win, you know? It should be a fucking given. Like, I acknowledge, I flat out admit, those RE movies from Paul W. Sanderson, not good. Very not good. Oh shit, I'm actually gonna take you out of here. But they're fun. Let's do green. Let's do red. I like the contrast. Sell you bitches. And you. Alright. I kind of remember this area. Oh, that's right. There's a... This is where they introduced the face huggers, effectively. Just the parasites out on the loose. I just want to make sure I have everything, which I don't think I do. Oh, there's... Wait, what? Where? Oh, shit. Didn't even notice. Bye, Ada. There's one more. Is it right here? Is it on the wall already? It is. All right. Let's examine these. Oh. So the armor has the red helm on it.
Looks like
red helm goes here. Goes there. Oh, do I even have to look at it? Is he just gonna do it? God damn it, dude. These puzzles are... Oh, maybe not. All right, no. Rotate. Oh, okay. I got way too ahead of myself. That should be right, unless... No? I know I should not be, but I'm excited for Survivor tomorrow. I'm excited for you. It's a bad game. And I think you said you have some nostalgia for it. I mean, that counts for something, you know? I'm excited that you're excited. I feed off of that shit. I'm like, yes, geek out. Are these the same on both sides? Wait, what the fuck is the solution here? What are we doing? Is it opposites? Is this opposites attract? Is this opposite day? What is this? No, I didn't fucking think so. Hold on. Ask for the helmet. You got the helmet. Is there like a blue... There's that dagger or sword. There's the armor. Wait, is this like one of these armors is not like the other? I'm loving RE3 other than reaching at the busted ass piece of shit dodge mechanic. Yeah, dude, I hate the dodge mechanic in OG RE3. It doesn't work. Not even remotely reliable, you know. It's the same picture. So what are we doing? What are we doing here? Hold on. Is there a fucking document I can read? Make me feel less like a fucking idiot. RE3 is good. I like it a lot. I mean, I like the whole trilogy, but it's just my least favorite. Like, it's a good game. It's just, I like one for the, I'll admit, the nostalgia, but I like the setting of the mansion. There's the fucking camp of the terrible voice acting, and its importance to me, you know, like as far as the series goes, its place in the industry when it came out, you know, Resident Evil was a big fucking deal. And then 2, bigger, badder, louder, meaner, smarter. You know, it's just it's objectively better in every way. Better characters, better voice acting, better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. No, fucking RE2 is the tits, dude. And RE3 comes out and I'm like, you know, Nemesis is cool. I don't know, like, it's prettier. Nemesis is fucking dope. Wait, why is... I didn't leave it like that. I don't know, it just didn't grab me as much. I like the live selection system, or whatever the fuck they call it. What do I do? What am I doing wrong here? Hang on. Is there a pattern that I'm missing? Is there a guide above the fireplace I should be looking at? Like, what are we doing? Shield's got the shield. Helmet's got the helmet. These two are missing, but they're both blue, so I mean, it's either this or this, no? Is F to confirm? Yeah. What is this? What do we do? What are we doing here? Why don't you just die already? Is there, I can't open you. You're fucking slow. Night. Both with swords. Like, what are we doing? What is this? I actually don't get it. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. There's nothing to do going on story-wise. RE2 and 3 have real plots and character arcs to a degree. RE3 is fun, but it's just Jill trying to skip the city. Yeah, there's a city, and I guess I mean, the only thing... It's got a lot to say with the world in general, you know, with Umbrella coming in to kind of cover up. I think that's kind of important. You know, sending in Nemi, showing the extent that they're willing to go, blowing up the town, you know. Like, there are important things that have lasting implications on, like, we're going back to Raccoon City now, you know, and they're making a whole point to emphasize the fact they got fucking nuked, basically. But I do hear you. The immediate story between the characters, it's like, you know, the next time we see Jill, she's basically a MacGuffin. Dude, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't get this puzzle. What am I doing wrong? Is this like a match the picture, but I'm fucking up? Like, you have a better shield on you? Actually, maybe there is a difference, I see. Dude, this is stupid. I have no clue. Okay.
That should do it.
First try. I knew that. I don't know what the fuck happened, but sure. And then, yeah, this is where I find the face hugger attacking somebody or something.
All right. Need to find Ashley.
Oh, yeah, I need a key. Now, if I shoot you... Okay, I don't see a counter, so I just murder that animal for no reason. I'll tell your other rat friends. No witnesses. Illuminados 3-2. Hear the signal echo through the mountains. Rocks become gravel, and the castle walls crumble. Behold the crimson shade of the night sky. A river tainted of blood befouls the sea. Sacrifice your life and the blood of your enemy. Atone for your ancient sins. Okay, metal. Yeah, it's coming up. Anything in here I'm missing? Give me ammo. I need ammo. I mean, I don't need it, but I want it. You gonna work, Jay? No, you're off today.
Oh,
yep.
Great.
Small key. We're going back, baby. I'm at home. Nice. Nice. Jay, when are they gonna remaster Gears of War 2 and 3? Stop pissing me off. You asked me that. Especially Gears of War 3. I would love to play that with like me, you, Lemon, and like Cyber. Or Dry or something. Never. They'll remaster Gears 1 a third time. Dude, that's why I'm annoyed. It's like, I play Gears of War a lot. 1. Because you guys won't stop fucking re-releasing it. And they give me the better games. 2 is better than 1. And I'm of the mindset that 3 is better than 2. I will say, you know, the stuff with Maria, like in 2, peak, you know, that's good shit. But the 4-player campaign in 3, the emotional weights that story gave me, dude. Gears of War 3 made me tear up. Even the marketing got me. Like, brothers to the end. I'm just like, oh, fuck, here we go, dude. You know? Gears of War 3 is, to me, the best one. I have a very strong attachment to that one. But yet again, let's remaster 1.
Christ.
Oh my god! Jesus. Alright. No, use a shotgun next time. I still like 2 better. No, that's fine. I can see that being somebody's favorite for sure. I can see 1 being people's favorite. In fact, I think 1 is Lemon's favorite. I'm just sick of playing 1. And it's locked away on fucking 360 still, you know? That's my problem.
For a reason, stranger. Welcome. Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger. Ruby's all rubbish. It makes no difference. The price, well, thank you.
Fuck. So be where I have to stop it in a bit. It's not that I want to. It's just there's a lot of shit going on at work, and I have to, you know, I have to be there for it. Earlier the better, you know. So I didn't realize it was 12. I actually thought it was closer to 11. I'm gonna have to stop it. Fortunately, I recently played 1 and 2. I still need to stream 3. I like them about the same. 1 and 2 about the same, or 2 and 3, or I am actually very curious on what you would think about with 3. I like 1 and 2 about the same, 2 as well, but 2 TOO as well also. I think 1 and 2 about the same. Yeah, same actually, but I think 3 is an improvement in a lot of ways. It plays better. They actually like fine-tuned like the aiming and all that. Like there are little touch-ups that they do on the gameplay front to make it better. There's also the cool executions. There's you can move around while you need to be picked up. The multiplayer was a banger, but that's dead now, which is fine. Whatever. That's not the point here. I just throwing it out there. and the story. The 3 has my favorite story. I haven't played 3 in a long ass time. I don't remember my opinion. Yeah, that's why I'm actually looking forward to, if you ever get to stream it. Do you own it? I mean, you can capture. Do you have HDMI capture? Do you have like an Elgato or something, or like another variant of that? Not sure if you do. I think I just saved, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Sue me. Second. I have a capture card somewhere. Right on, dude. Yeah, you gotta use that, because I mean, 3 is dirt cheap now. Once again, dude, if it means you'll play it, I'll stream you, or I'll ship you some games. Send them back. I'll find you. Yeah, 3's a fucking classic, man. 3 is where it's at for me. Like, I would say by a large margin, even. Like 1 and 2, good, great. 3, I'm like, fuck it. That's where it's at. The closest to Gears of War I'm playing right now is Storm. Is it a game called Storm? I've never heard of that. Bulletstorm. Oh, thank you. That's not close to Gears at all. You can shoot shit, but that is nothing compared. You don't have to take. Bulletstorm is basically Tony Hawk. If Tony Hawk fucked Halo. That's the best way I could put it. That's how it feels for me. And it was written by James Gunn or something. It's a fun game though. Actually, I kind of wanted to play the VR version of that. That game's funny. It's a funny game. But yeah, unfortunately, this is where I have to stop it. Like I said, the work week has been not good. So I actually have to do shit. Not that I don't, but you know what I'm saying. What is Emmy playing? Doing the wheel. No. Then we got the character you play as looks like he belongs in Gears of War. Bulletstorm main character. Yeah, he kind of does. I could see that. He looks more like Wolverine to me, or he looks like. You know what's funny, and I don't mean this in a bad way, because I think this is what they're going for, because he's so generic. You know, he actually looks like the main character in a video game that a character is playing in like a show. You know, like you're watching Gears of War, or stupid. You're watching like Breaking Bad or something, and then like Walt Jr.'s playing a game in the background. It's got this guy in it. You know, that's what he reminds me of. He looks like a cross between Wolverine from X-Men Origins Wolverine and Jack Black's character from oh fuck, what's that game called? God damn it. From Double Fine Jack Black game. Brutal Legend. He looks like the guy from Brutal Legend if he cut his hair. But yeah, I gotta cut this shit out. So we are going to raid. Everyone's playing Silent Hill F. I don't think Jay wants to watch that. Oh shit! Lovely Montana. See ya, bitch. You're a bitch. Thanks for hanging out, dude. The version I have, once I beat the campaign, I unlock Duke Nukem. Yeah, you only unlock a skin. I wish it was like different dialogue. That'd be amazing, you know? Also, Duke Nukem isn't the flex it used to be. The DLC came out way too fucking late. We are gonna raid Lovely Montana. She's a VTuber. She's a British, but her voice, it's like tomato soup on a cold day, you know? It's like the British equivalent of a sweet black lady giving you a come here sugar and gives you a hug, you know? That's Lovely Montana for you. You won't regret this. Check her shit out. She's playing DLC for RE7. Hopefully she's playing End of Zoe, because Joe Baker is the shit. All right, everybody. Peace out. Enjoy this Brit's soothing voice. And let's continue the RE train. All right. All right. Peace out, guys. I'll probably stream tomorrow. Mwah.